Welcome to the Online Success Journey Podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey Podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 138. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Jeffrey Davidson, a speaker and a recognized expert in strengthening leaders and building teams. He has worked with 100 of teams, taught thousands of employees, and consulted with multiple Fortune 100 corporations over 20 years. His goal is simple. He wants you to be outstanding and your team to be even better. Hello, Jeffrey.
Hello.
I know the clan is anxious to get your story, so give us your background and tell us why do you want the teams around the globe to be even better?
Oh, well, there's two reasons, I think, two big reasons why I want teams everywhere to be better. The first part, the business part, is that the world is changing so fast and there's so much work to be done that we can get more done when we work with other people, when we work in collaboration, when we do a good job together, that doing all that is so helpful to reaching the goal of the business and of the leader. So that's the first reason. My second reason is more personal, and that is I have had the best time of my professional career, the best time of my working life when I was with a great team. And I've had a couple great teams that taught me how to be a better team member, that taught me how to be a better team leader. And I want to use all those lessons my colleagues helped me learn. I just want to share it because it's so much fun. I love it. I just want to do more of that.
Wow. But first tell us, the clan, how did you start? What was your background? Were you born this way into team working? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, I'm happy to. I'm the first of four children, and my parents were very happy when I was growing up, and I had a good family life. And I wasn't very involved with sports growing up, so I didn't know teams as a child. But I fell in love with leadership. And even as a teenager, I would read books on leadership. And in college, I taught a class on leadership. And then in my early 30s, I was president of a multi-million-dollar sales company. And I was a terrible leader, just absolutely terrible. I knew I didn't want to be a jerk, and I knew I didn't want to be a micromanager. And there's all the things I didn't want to be, but I didn't know how to be good. And I was so upset that I left management and I just went into consulting. So eventually I was consulting and someone asked me to help build them a team. And I did. And that team became world class. The team was the best in the whole company. And that team taught me how to be a good leader. And when I'm teaching other leaders how to be a team, it's in honor of my team that kind of taught me that what's the secret to being a leader of people? Because, I'd read lots of books, but I didn't know what to do. And books are not the same thing as leading. So I did this the hard way. First, I failed, and I failed a number of times. And then finally, the people that I worked with, they taught me how to do it right. And it's many years later, and we're still good friends today.
So now are you telling us not to read the books and then just go and find some people who are qualified in this leadership? Well, are they born like that? How did they become good? What's the secret?
I don't think that anyone is born a good leader. I think some people have the right family or the right experiences that help teach them, but it's not about being born. And books can be useful, but sometimes books don't just tell you what to do. Like you can read a book, but when I go to work tomorrow, what am I supposed to do? And people have trouble converting what they read into what they should do. So, I'm writing my own book. It's going to take a long time to write it because I want it to be great. But books need to have advice for what do you do, not just talk about the big ideas, but how do you talk with people? So for me, there's like one secret behind all of it. But the first key to that is just telling people why they should go to work. Why is their work important? If you don't tell people why their work is important, they don't work as hard.
Are we supposed to work hard, Jeffrey? I thought we are supposed to work simple, and nowadays use smart, just work smarter. Don't work so hard. So now you are telling us to work hard again. You are now pushing us back in the 18th century. We are in 21st.
Oh, no. Well,
I'm worried now.
I love how honest you are about that. That is so right. And that's not, those are the words I said, but that's not what I meant. What I think is no matter what your tool is, so maybe you use a computer, or maybe you use an accounting system, or maybe you use some kind of fancy equipment to lift, something in a warehouse, or maybe use a shovel. I don't know what your work is. The difference is when people care about what they're doing, they pay more attention and they try to get better and they get more done. And everyone around them is happier. And that's what I meant by work hard, is that you're paying attention to what you're doing. Because tools are great, but tools can't make up for someone who doesn't care, or someone who's distracted, or someone who is confused.
Wow, thank you for clarifying, because I was now getting worried. What a start. Okay. Why do you do what you do? I know you love the teams. They have built you. They have made you who you are today, and you are so excited about them. But deep down, why do you do what you do?
I think there's a couple things. One, I really love people. I do. And I want to help people. I mean, yes, I want a nice house, and yes, I want a nice car, and yes, I want nice food. But what really makes me smile is when someone else's life is just a little better. When I can help someone else, that just brings me a little joy inside me. And I think so many people are unhappy at work. So many people are unhappy with what they do. So many people just don't like it. They're only doing it for a paycheck, or they're only doing it to survive. And I want people to know that work can be better than that you can find more than just survival at work. And survival is important, but more than survival, you can grow and experience joy and make a difference. And that difference in how you feel can change your outlook on everything. So I just want to share and help people.
Wow. Okay, now tell us, how should we get up early in the morning and be so excited to think, yeah, alarm have just gone on, and spring out of the bed and be like, yes, I'm going to work, and then sing along from the house all the way to the workplace.
Even I don't sing the whole way to the workplace. I love that question. That's great. I think when people wake up and they're getting ready in the morning and they look in the mirror, they all think, I want to do a good job today. Pretty much everyone thinks that. No one thinks, I want to hate my job. Nobody wants to hate their stuff. Sometimes they do, but they don't want to. They want to do something that they think is important. And this is why the leader is so vital to this. This is why the leader is key, because the leader needs to tell people, why do we want you here? How do you make a difference? Because when I wake up in the morning, I've got two choices. Well, two big choices. One is I can hit the snooze button because I want to sleep instead of go to work. And the other is I can think, oh, today I'm going to go help somebody. Today I'm going to make a difference. And the leader has to share that reasoning. So the leader's really key to this, is they need to be able to tell people, why are they showing up? That's the first thing. I mean, there's more, but that's the first thing, because if people wake up and they can't stand their job, then that's a problem.
So make us now love our jobs, because I want to wake up singing, thinking I'm going to do the great job and I'm going to be proud. I'm looking forward to it.
That's right. So that's the first thing we need to think about is that we know how it makes a difference. If we don't know how we make a difference, it doesn't make a difference. Like if today I dig a hole and tomorrow I fill a hole and the next day I dig a hole and the next day I fill a hole and it's always the same hole, then who cares? But maybe today I'm digging a well and the well is going to bring water to people who need it. Or maybe next week I'm digging a well and I'm going to bring up oil so that people have energy so that they can, have a light on their street and a lamp next to their bed and they can see at night and read to the children. Both people were digging, but the reason is very different. So that reason makes a huge impact.
Okay. Now this is not for us who wants to now to go to work. Now, how could you tell these team leaders or the managers how to really create a really good team? Because this is your expertise.
Ah, yes. So the first we already talked about is what's our meaning? Where do we show up? But the next thing the leader needs to say is tell the team how they know they're successful. A lot of people go to work and I'll keep on using the digging example, digging for water or digging for or oil or digging for minerals, whatever it is. And people think their job is just to dig. But instead, the leader needs to help explain, we are successful when we dig this far. Or we are successful when we have running water. We are successful when we have got these minerals so we can use it to help people build stronger buildings and have firmer roads. The leader needs to help define, what does success look like? Because first we want to have meaning, we want to make a difference, but then we want to know, how is my job? How do I know I did a good job? So what is success? That's one of the things the leader needs to do. Another thing the leader needs to do is they need to make sure that people know how to do the work. Sometimes people are hired, but they're not trained on the tools. They're not trained how to use the shovel, for example. Maybe they're hired as an accountant, but they're not trained on how to use the accounting software. Maybe they're in marketing, but they don't know how to use the tools properly, so they put the wrong ad in the wrong venue. They put a TV ad on a billboard or a billboard ad on, in the newspaper or the copy from the newspaper on the radio, and it's all crazy. So people need to know how to get their stuff done. They need to know how to use their tools properly, and they need to know the processes. So many times people are hired and they're not given enough training at first. And then they kind of stumble and fumble and they struggle with doing a good job. And it's the leader's responsibility to help people do a good job. Now, those are the first two. I've got a couple more. Do you want me to keep on going?
We are listening because we need to make sure we get all the goodness from our leaders so we can be ambitious and head for the stars.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Well, then the next thing is, as the people working together, they need to know how to work together. In other words, what's a good way to work together? Do we talk every day for just 5 minutes so we make sure we're on the same page? Or do we talk once a week? Or do we do email? Or do we do text messages? How do we communicate to each other? If something goes wrong, how do we share information? If something goes right, how do we celebrate? So it's important for step number 3 is that we make sure that we know how we're going to work together as an organization, as a team, as people who are in this together. And then the next thing that people really want to know from their leader is, how am I doing? Everyone wakes up thinking, I am the center of the universe. I'm the most important person in my life. But they don't know, even though they're the most important person in the world, how they're doing at work, because their boss doesn't tell them, because the system doesn't tell them, because their colleagues aren't sharing enough information. So people really want to know, how am I doing? Am I doing good? And if I'm not doing good, how can I get a little bit better? Because everybody wakes up and wants to have that good day. We already talked about that. But now they want feedback to know, am I having a good day? Did I have a bad day and I don't know? Is there something I did good I can do great? Can I build upon something to be even better? Or did I try really hard, but maybe I missed? And Where should I refocus my energies? So we need more information about how we're doing. And the leader needs to do this with compassion and all the time. Some companies still do a performance review once a year. Well, I got to tell you, I want information how I'm doing once a day. I want it a couple times a week. If it's a busy day and I'm doing lots of things, I might want it multiple times a day. I can't wait a whole year to find out how I'm doing. Like, imagine if you were married and you were to say, do you know what, spouse, you're doing a really good job raising the kids. You keep it up. I'm going to come back in a year, evaluate your performance, and tell you how you're doing. That would be terrible. You wouldn't be married after a year. That would be terrible. Yeah, Kim Scott first said that example in a talk. And I think that's a great point, is that we need to be partnering with each other and talking to each other all the time to say, ooh, I like what you did there. Ooh, show me how you did that. Ooh, this didn't quite work. Here's a way to make it a little bit better. Or what did you think about this? So we need to know how we're doing. And the last thing an employee wants to know is this real? And by what I mean by that is, does the leader mean what they say? Because it's easy to say the words, I care about you. It's easy to say the word, this is what success looks like. Or it's easy to say, here's what our meaning is. But do they mean that? Or do they just say the words? Because if you're just saying the words and if you don't mean it, I'm going to figure it out. And then I won't trust you. So we have to be honest. And that, for me, is the secrets for how to be a leader of a great team.
Wow. I hope everyone who's listening can really get anything from this one and build their own. But sometimes, sometimes people think that if I'm going to be too honest, it might not be good for me. The employees sometimes they're like, I don't want to hear it if it is too honest, and they're like, I've been working so hard and now you're saying it's not good enough. So others, they might not take it really lightly. So what shall we do for those ones who are in that box, who are like, they are not doing very well, but they really want to be told that actually you are doing great? No, you are not.
Well, that's a really insightful question. And a lot of people miss that. So thank you so much for asking that. And the real secret for me is that we have to have clear expectations. As leaders, I have to have a clear expectation and I have to share it. Usually when someone thinks they're doing a good job and the boss thinks they're not doing a good job, it's because the boss did not explain well enough what the job is. So if you are working for me and you think you're doing a good job, it's because you're doing everything you think you need to do and you think you're doing well at it. If I think something different, it's because we haven't talked enough about expectations. So setting the expectations up front about what is success and how do we get stuff done and how do we work together and what is our process, we have to be very clear about that. Because again, everybody wakes up and wants to do a good job. So if they're not, what's getting in the way? And it's usually expectations or lack of training or bad tools or lack of clarity around what we're trying to do. And all these things are the leader's responsibility. So before I say you're bad, I need to say, what's in your way? And then as a leader, I need to help get all those things out of your way. If you don't have good expectations, if you don't know enough about the job duties, I need to clarify that and I need to explain it. If you don't have the right tools, I need to get you better tools. If you don't know how to use the tools, I need to make sure you get training on the tools. Sometimes that's a class, sometimes that's working with someone else, sometimes it's working with me, sometimes it's practice, whatever it is. If there's a problem, first I need to figure out what it is. And the problem is very rarely is that you wake up and try to do a bad job. It's almost always something is in your way of doing a good job. So we need to work together, figure that out, and get rid of that.
Thank you. Okay. What have you learned in the business as a whole?
Oh, what have I learned about business as a whole? That obviously teams are the keys to success. And if you don't have customers, you don't have a business. There's a lot of people who think they have a business, but what they really have is just a website.
What grounds you?
Oh, what grounds me? People. People ground me. When I'm teaching a class or giving a speech, the people there and how they respond, they ground me because they get excited, but then they come back with questions like yours and they say, but how do I make this real? It's great that you're excited, Jeffrey, but how do we use this? And those ground me. But also what grounds me is my family because I love them and they love me and that gives me a center. And sometimes just going outside in nature because we have a beautiful planet and, you know, I can only make a small difference on the whole planet. So just being grounded that even though I think I'm the center of the world's going to last a lot longer than me.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think that I'm always trying to get better. I'm always asking for feedback, or I'm always looking for how do I make one thing a little bit better? I learn very slowly. Like I've learned a lot, but only because I've made so many mistakes. So I'm just constantly trying to say, what can I do to get a little bit better? And I usually take a couple mistakes to learn it. I don't learn on the first mistake. I'll be honest. It takes me a couple times, but eventually I'll get there. So little by little, if I can live long enough, I'll be great.
What is one thing no one knows about you?
That I am a specialist for Walt Disney movie princesses.
Really?
Yes, I know tons about Walt Disney movie princesses. I have a little girl and I have watched those movies and I have studied those movies and I think about those princesses and I think about what they did. And yes, I'm kind of an expert on Walt Disney movie princesses.
That's surprising. Okay, we thought you are just in teams. I hope you are not telling us fibs. Okay.
No. If you want to do a whole podcast on Disney princesses, I'm your guy.
Wow, thank you. Okay, in all these 20 years, have you ever had yourself coaches or mentors or friends who will give you advice?
Oh yeah. I'm always asking for advice, and sometimes it's good advice. My mom still tries to give me advice too. Sometimes I don't like my mom's advice, but she loves me, so she tries to help out. Yeah, I think that if we want to get better, if we want to keep on improving, we have to find people who are willing to be honest with us and tell us things.
What is the most valuable thing your mentors or your advisors, plus your mom, has told you?
Wow. See, first I think about my mom, and she says, better care of yourself, because she wants me to be healthy. So that's one of them. But I think the other is it's not what they tell me, but how they tell me. Because when one of my mentors or one of my friends or one of my family is sharing something, what's important isn't what they're saying, but that they're even telling me anything. Because when they tell me something, it's a little gift. They're giving me a little bit of honesty. They're giving me a little something that says they care. And I just find so much encouragement from that and so much enrichment.
What is the most valuable thing you have ever given away?
Oh, I don't know. You'd have to talk to everyone I've ever met. One thing I try to give away is an example. And I find people come up to me and they say that I was working with my team, Jeffrey, and I had to be really honest with them. So instead of being like me, I was more like you, and I was more honest. And I think that example that is something other people really appreciate, that I give them a way to think about how to be by showing it and demonstrating it.
Okay, tell us about your program, Tools for Building a Better Team.
Well, I have a whole bunch of tools that I've developed over time working with teams. And I've started to give them away for free on my website, which is greatteamsltd.com/more. And it's really that I want to help teams. If you want more than just, the online tools and some downloadable things, then I also do speech and training for people. I'm very energetic, as you might know, because I've been yelling and almost crying in this whole talk so far. And I love to share what I've learned. So I have very engaging training for people. If they want more than the tools, then we come and we do a couple days together. And sometimes I work with teams and sometimes I work with leaders. And I always say I won't work with teams unless I work with the leaders too, because the leaders are so key. And it's just really a chance for teams to find their purpose, find out what their meaning is, and really take little baby steps to getting better. You don't become better overnight. It takes time. But sometimes we need a little help and a little practice. And that's what I do. I give teams a little bit of help and I tell them how to practice.
Okay. If, let's say, for me, I wanted to come to you and I want to create a team, do you take on one-on-one or it's just only in the companies, big companies?
I usually work with companies. But if you were to come to me or one of your listeners were to come to me, I would be happy to help them. Now, how much help do we need? I don't know. If someone says, I just have a few questions or I just want to have a conversation, then I'm like, let's have a conversation. If somebody wanted a long-term program, and I have some of those, then they'd have to pay for it. But mostly I'm just here to share the love of a good team.
Okay. And if we wanted one of those packaging the program for a long time so we can be better, and again, I get worried when you say we need it takes time. Since we are slow learners, how time is this going to take us? A year, 2 years, 4 years, 10? Give us time.
Oh, wow. That's a great question. The answer is it depends. There are some things I think are going to take 2 or 3 years, and we get them done in 1 year. And some things I think are going to take 3 months, and sometimes that takes 2 years, because everyone is different. And for me, there is no perfect. You can't be perfect. I don't know anyone alive today who is perfect. So all we can do is say, what can I build upon to get better tomorrow? Or where should I refocus because I missed today and I want to be better tomorrow? As long as we're doing that every day, as long as we're learning, it's okay. We're on the right path. Probably will take months to years. To be great, it's going to take a long time. To get better, well, you could be a little bit better in a week.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's very comforting. How much is your programs?
There's a lot of resources I give away for free. And when I work with a company, it costs thousands of dollars, for 3 days of training, and plus travel costs if I have to travel to you or if you have to travel to me. Or if there's an online, I have some coaching that I give to people. It's not prepackaged because I work with the individual, and then that's a monthly retainer, and that's in the hundreds of dollars a month. So it really depends on what people need. Do you need me to give a talk to 500 people for an hour? That's about the same cost in thousands of dollars for what I would do for training for 20 team members or training for a dozen leaders. So it kind of depends on how intense you need your help.
Okay. Now, let's say we are beginners online and we are beginners in our new job and we want to really be better. Would you take on someone like that? Or you want someone who's been in a leadership for like the last 3 years to 5 years or 10 years?
You said either new or experienced, and I say new and experienced. I believe in and.
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure you're not leaving us out. That's all. That's what I wanted to clarify.
No.
Okay.
But I want to clarify that. If you are new and you want to learn, I want to work with you. If you're experienced and you want to learn, I want to work with you. If you are new or experienced and you just want to check the box, I don't want to work with you. I only want to work with people who really want to grow and become a great leader and really help their teams. If you want to grow, I want to help you. But if you don't care, then I don't care.
If we didn't care, we wouldn't be enrolling in the program in the first place. because
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
But
because we care, we want to improve, so that's why we'll be there trying to get ahead. Okay,
exactly.
right. So where do we find this program, and how can we get in contact with you?
I have a website like everyone else does, and the address is Great Teams Limited, but that's Great, Great, Teams, Teams, then Limited is Ltd.com. So greatteamslimited.com. And I have some free resources just for podcast listeners. And if you put that /more, MORE, and I just have 2 or 3 items there that people can download and they can start to practice a few little things. And if you want to know more, I've got a place where you can contact me, fill out a little form, and contact me online. But just go to my website, try the free tools, and if you like them, reach out and contact me. I'll be here waiting.
Thank you. So, clan, there will be more from Jeffrey in a moment. If you are listening on one of the many podcasts platforms rather than my website, you are encouraged by Jeffrey's journey. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for a bonus portion of the interview. Online Success Journey is a wonderful membership community built for people searching for the path to success. We are one big clan, and you can be part of this community for free. Once you have joined the clan, click on part 2 of Jeffrey's journey or over other 100 journeys that are available and learn how you can find the right path for your own online success journey. That's a wrap, clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Jeffrey.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.